Welcome to r/malicious compliance, where we share stories of people conforming to the letter but not the spirit of a request. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. The first story: manager called me to work when I was sick. She was fired soon. The second story: new manager changed the rules and sales of the store fell. The third story: guy ordered 10x onions for his burger. I thought it would end with my dismissal. Today's first story is too sick? I don't care. Cast: me, GM, store manager. SL, awesome shift leader and M's mother. AM, awesome assistant manager who later became GM of that particular store. This happened about 7 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child. I was working in a popular fast food chain that's very well known for its fried chicken. This was in a small town in Kentucky. At the time, I was 3 months pregnant and heavy in the throes of what I referred to as morning, noon, and night sickness, something I experienced during the duration of my pregnancy. It was a Friday morning in the middle of summer, and I attempted to call GM to call out sick, but we were already shorthanded and was told by GM that I had to come into work or risk being fired. As such, I did as I was told by GM and came in. Now, most of the people I worked with were awesome, and truth be told, I do miss my old crew, but that day was the last straw as to the things I dealt with. Now, anyone who's ever been pregnant knows that in the early stages of pregnancy, certain smells can set off an already bad stomach. For me, the smell of fryers going, specifically the grease smell, made my stomach go very sour. So lucky for me, I worked in a restaurant that sold 90% fried foods. Yay me. So I clocked in as I was supposed to. This was about 10 a.m. The restaurant opened for lunch starting at 10:30 a.m., and as soon as we opened, we were slammed. Both drive-thru and front counter were at their max, and that day I was the only cashier on duty. Thankfully, SL was there and helped me out when she could, running the second register when she had a moment. When we were busy, things were okay with my stomach, and I was able to turn my focus off it and keep from getting sick. That is, until we slowed down. No sooner did we slow down did my stomach turn, and I had a hot flash and tunnel vision. Sure, I should have been drinking more, and I knew I was mildly dehydrated at that point. But did my manager care? Absolutely not. Sure enough, I got sick, and it was bad. My manager got peeved at me. Instead of acting like a normal human being, or someone, especially considering she herself was a mother of 3, and being sympathetic of my situation, she decided to follow me out of the kitchen and literally cuss me out, as I was getting sick all over the hall leading to the bathroom in one of the stalls. She then proceeded to tell me that I should not have come into work that day if I knew I was going to be this sick. If you remember, I had already attempted to call in sick early that morning, but M refused to let me. M continued to chew me a new rear end as I was over the toilet getting sick, and what she continuously reminded me was her restaurant. After getting sick and composing myself, I went back to the back and got the stuff and cleaned up the mess I had made. Being Serve Safe certified at the time, I was not about to leave the restaurant looking as it did, as it would have obviously been a massive health code violation. As I finished cleaning up my mess, I was called in my GM's office and told I needed to go back to work as soon as I changed my outfit and put on a clean uniform. I told her that it was not going to happen, and I was going to go home and rest, as she has told me I should not have come into work in the first place. Then I asked for my paycheck so that I could go. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. In front of SL and AM, GM decided to cuss me out more and give me a massive list of anti-nausea medication names, all of which were available by prescription only, and told me not to bring my effing A back to her store until I was on one of those medications, as I was unfit to work in my condition. And so that's exactly what I did. I snatched my check out of her hand and walked out of the restaurant. Having already been scheduled to have off the next 2 days, as it was my normal weekend off, there, each employee got 1 weekend per month off, but the schedule for the next week was not up yet. Now, I was not scheduled for my next prenatal visit to the doctor for 3 weeks after this incident happened. GM decided she was going to schedule me to work the following Monday. Seeing as I had yet to go to the doctor's office, and at this point had spoken to my then boyfriend, now husband, about quitting anyways, and he agreed with me that I should. GM decided to call me on Monday to ask where I was. I proceeded to tell her that I was yet to be placed on one of the many anti-nausea medications she so wonderfully gave me the list of, and that I would not be into work that day, nor any other day after that, as my next doctor's appointment was not for another 3 weeks, and hung up. She attempted to call me every day that week, and I ignored each and every one of her calls. Finally, the day came for me to take my uniform back to the restaurant and pick up my final check. I walked in wearing a tank top that showed off my growing baby bump very well. I'd been very tiny, 120 pounds, and very fit at the time I got pregnant, so I began showing very early in my pregnancy. Smiled and waved to my old crew as AM came to the counter to give me my last check and take my uniform. He told me he was sad to see me go, that he as well as others in the restaurant had reported M to the franchise owner, and she had been put on probation. All I could do was smile. I hugged AM and left. I found out a few weeks later she was fired after she did the same thing to another one of my former coworkers. Then fired again from the next job she had working as a cashier at the local Kroger for cussing out a customer. I guess karma got her. The next story is, the breakfast plate should cost more. Enjoy your $20 breakfast. So back in college, I was lucky enough to have a decently fun job working in the kitchen of a high-end grocer. There was, of course, the usual stupidity that comes with working in the service industry, sometimes made worse because we catered to a more affluent clientele. But this particular story involves one of several run-ins with an especially a-hole store team manager, who we'll call ASTM. For the bulk of my time there, we would run a made-to-order breakfast station on the weekends. While we had it going, it was easily my favorite shift during the week. It consisted of 2 workers manning the station, one to cook and one to take orders, prep and plate. And it was usually a blast to work because we were able to be creative and set weekly specials, and generally we took a lot of pride in making food that looked and tasted awesome. Plus, my partner and I were able to joke around and have a great time during the shift. Also at the time, we were the most profitable station in the department, accounting for 25 to 30% of the sales for the week. Considering we were only open 2 morning shifts a week, that was pretty good. So win-win, right? Enter ASTM. ASTM was new to the store, coming from another location in another city as an assistant store manager. Like a lot of times, him being new to the store led him to thinking his way was always the right way, and generally wanting to shake things up and implement some methods used at his old store. One of those things he wanted to shift to was per-pound buffet-style food bar. In an effort to show how much more money could be made selling food by the pound, he had us run the make-to-order bar and charge by the pound for a few weeks. So that's what we did. And surprise, surprise, once the regulars realized the prices had nearly doubled from what they'd been before, we saw the number of orders drop, and eventually the total sales as well. Once ASTM saw this, he decided to pay us a visit. ASTM, why aren't the sales from this station better? When we made this change my last store, we saw our sales go up a lot. Me, well, our sales from the breakfast bar have always been solid. We saw a small increase the first 2 weeks with the higher per plate costs, but since the prices are so high now, the regulars have just not been coming in. ASTM, that doesn't make sense. We shouldn't see this much of a drop in sales if that's the case. I bet your plates just aren't portioned correctly. Put me down an order for 2 pancakes, 2 eggs, and bacon. Me, it's the same portions we've always done, and made-to-order prices were set based on food costs. But you're the manager, so you're the boss. So like usual, we knocked out his order and served it up looking great as always. We call his number and here comes his food. ASTM, yeah, see, I knew it. These pancakes are too small. These are the cheapest thing on this plate to make. Tomorrow I'm gonna want this same order but make these pancakes bigger. At this point I was pretty miffed, but it was the end of shift, so whatever. The next day he comes back. ASTM, let me get the same thing as yesterday, except this time I want those pancakes bigger. Me, you got it. It should be noted that I wasn't having a great day that day, and by the time he made it by our bar, I was pretty much done with it. So his a-hole just put me over the top. I think to myself, you want bigger pancakes? Bigger it is then. I then proceeded to make those pancakes so effing big they were literally hanging over the edge of the plate. I call his number for him to get his food. Me, here you go, sir. Enjoy your breakfast. ASTM, realizing how big these things are. Wow, this is a healthy breakfast. Me, yup, enjoy. I then watched him walk to the register to pay for what I later found out to be an $18 plate of pancakes, eggs, and bacon. But the best part? That was watching him pour syrup all over his pancakes and then run off the plate and all over the table. The look of defeat on his face was just so delicious for my youthful passive aggressiveness. Eventually, ASTM left the company, and I found out years later that they remodeled the store and did away with the by-the-pound breakfast bar. The last story is extra onions, if you say so. This happened when I was a teenager working my first job a long time ago at McDonald's and was working the evening shift as a drive-through cashier. And it was a pretty normal day, though it was a bit slow and there wasn't many of us there. Was kinda just doing their own thing. But little did I know that this would be the day I would encounter my first entitled customer, but sadly not my last, and it was quite memorable for me. Entitled customer is EC, coworker is CO, and me is me. EC drives up the order menu, and I use my headset to greet the customer. Me, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? EC, yeah, I just want a McDouble. Me, all right, would that complete your order? EC, yeah, but I want extra onions. Me, no problem. Now, in case you didn't know, McDonald's has a screen for customers to review their order to ensure it's accurate, And we'll display any special orders, so I added the extra onions on the order so the customer will see it. Me, please pull to the next window, thank you. EC, hey, I only see 1 extra onions. Me, a bit confused. Sorry? EC, I said extra 10 times. I want to see it on the screen. Me, you want me to put extra onions on the screen 10 times? EC, yes, I order extra onions all the time and I never get enough. You guys never make my burger right, and I want to see extra onions on there 10 times so you understand that I'm serious about this. Me, okay. Adding extra onions on the screen 10 times. Does that look correct? EC, yeah, hopefully you won't mess this up. You guys always mess it up. Me, a bit annoyed, but customer is always right tone. We'll try. Please pull up to the next window. Now the order goes to the back to my coworker to make, and he sees a burger with a bunch of extra onions on it. CO, hey, what's up with that order? Me, don't make it, I'll do it. It's pretty slow and I want to make sure his burger is done correctly. CO shrugs, whatever. I then proceeded to take his money for his order and direct him to the next window to wait for his meal, which he kinda just gruffs and proceeds, and I head back to the grill to make his burger. So a McDouble made back then went bun top, ketchup, mustard, onions, pickles, cheese, patty, bun bottom in that order. But this guy wanted extra 10 times onions, and I was dead set on ensuring just that. So in compliance to his order, I put some onions on the wrapper, bun top, onions, ketchup, onions, mustard, onions, silvered onions, different cut onions for bigger burgers, pickles, onions, cheese, onions, patty, onions, cheese, onions, patty, onions, bun bottom, and sprinkled some more onions around the burger. CO laughing, what the F? Now I'm looking at this half onion, half burger monstrosity, grinning, wrapped it up, attached the large special ticket to it, and sent it to my other coworker to give it out. Me, well, he said he doesn't get enough onions. Hope it's to his liking. I didn't have to wait long to find out if he liked it. A few minutes later, EC enters the McDonald's lobby, asking loudly who made his burger. My manager was up front at the time, and found out it was me who made it, and called me up front. CO, oh, you done effed up now, haha. I was just a teenager then, and didn't really think I would ever see this guy again. Me, I made the burger. Was there enough onions on it for you? Now kind of expecting to get yelled at by the EC and in trouble with my manager, was a bit surprised when the guy started laughing. EC, kid, let me shake your hand. You're the first guy who actually made me take onions off my burger. Guess 10 extra is too much. Next time I come here, I'll say 5. EC left laughing, and though I actually never saw that guy again, left me with a great story about an EC who likes onions a bit too much, and ended up being a pretty good sport about it. I hope you guys love these stories. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new video comes out.